Kuzu Zangpo, and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program, where we take a look at some of the major news stories covered over the week. In this week's edition, His Majesty the King and the Gyaltsen visits important Buddhist sites in Bodh Gaya, Sarnath and temples in Varanasi during the royal visit to India over the week. And the first ever national eye bank at the Jigme Dorji Wangchuk National Referral Hospital opened on Thursday. His Majesty the King graced the 167th Founders' Day celebration at the Lawrence School, Sanawar in Himachal Pradesh. His Majesty the King was accompanied by Her Majesty the Gyaltsen, who is the alumni of the school. During the royal visit to India, Their Majesties visited important Buddhist sites in Bodh Gaya, Sarnath and temples in Varanasi upon the invitation of the Government of India.
The Founders' Day celebration began with a parade by the students. It was then followed by a march past by about 100 old students celebrating their diamond, golden and silver jubilees. Addressing the gathering, His Majesty the King shared about the importance of education.
Even back in Bhutan, as I serve my country, I have a number of priorities. Number one on my list is education. Education is empowering. It's a social equalizer and it facilitates self-discovery, which leads to realizing one's full potential. Good education gives you confidence, good judgment, virtuous disposition, and the tools to achieve happiness successfully. A good school gives a child a fair shot at success and ensures that a person's achievement is not predetermined by his or her parentage, race, or social connections. That is why I believe in education.
His Majesty also acknowledged the contributions made by India in the field of education in Bhutan.
For decades, numerous Indian teachers have taught in Bhutan all across the country, and thousands of Bhutanese have come to India and studied in leading academic establishments, only to return to contribute towards nation building. Such contributions remain invaluable to Indo-Bhutan friendship. I always tell our youth that it is important in this day and age to be well educated, tech savvy, and have a good worldview. But it is imperative to preserve our cultural heritage. There is great wisdom and value in our cultural and spiritual upbringing, which is an indivisible part of our identity. It is special. We must look after our Asian values and be proud of it.
Lawrence School Sanwar was established in 1847. At the moment, the school has 750 students, including 5 Bhutanese students. Currently, the school is considered one of the top 5 schools in India. Many famous celebrities like Sanjay Dutt, Saif Ali Khan and Pooja Bedi are alumni of this school. Compiled for Demba in Himachal Pradesh, India, Tenzin Rabki, PBS News.
His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gyaltsen also visited the Buddhist temple in Bodh Gaya in the Indian state of Bihar. Their Majesties offered butter lamps and prayers in the Lagang. The Buddhist temple was built in 1983 and was consecrated by the 67th Jekhenpo Tinle Lhindup.
His Majesty the King and the Gyaltsen visited the Bhutanese temple in Bodh Gaya in the Indian state of Bihar. Following the visit to the Bhutanese Lagang, Their Majesties visited Daijoko Buddhist temple, popularly known as the Japanese temple. The temple and the 80-foot giant Buddha statue was built in 1989. Yesterday, Their Majesties visited the Mahabodhi temple and offered prayers in Nanda at the 2,500-year-old giant image of the Buddha. The image is believed to be facing east, exactly at the place where Buddha in meditation, with his back to the Bodhi tree, was enlightened. His Majesty then offered namza or a silk robe to the Buddha statue inside the Mahabodhi temple. The Mahabodhi temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site where Lord Buddha is said to have attained enlightenment. Their Majesties then circumambulated the Mahabodhi temple and offered prayers at the Bodhi tree. History says that for 7 days after Buddha attained enlightenment, Buddha continued to meditate under the Bodhi tree without moving from it. Following the visit at the Bodhi tree, Their Majesties paid a visit to the Mahabodhi Society Center and offered prayers. The center is a South Asian Buddhist society founded by a Sri Lankan Buddhist leader. Bodh Gaya has been developed as an international place of pilgrimage since 1953. Buddhists from Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Bhutan and Japan have established monasteries and temples within easy walking distance of the Mahabodhi temple. This site now attracts Buddhists and tourists from across the world. His Majesty the King and the Gyatso arrived in Bodh Gaya yesterday. Their Majesties are on a tour of some of the most important Buddhist pilgrim sites in India upon the invitation of the Government of India. Compiled for Demba Tsering, Diki Chorindoji for BBS News.
His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gyaltsen visited Nalanda University at Rajgiri in the Indian state of Bihar. Their Majesties also visited Ritkuta, or what is popularly known as Jagi Phumpuri.
Upon arrival at the ancient university's archaeological complex, Their Majesties were received by the Bihar State Minister of Rural Development. Founded in the 5th century AD, Nalanda is known as the ancient seat of learning. Over 2,000 teachers and 10,000 students from the Buddhist world lived and studied at Nalanda University. Following the visit, Their Majesties visited the Nalanda Archaeological Museum. The museum was established in 1971 and houses many ancient manuscripts and Buddhist statues. The museum also contains several artifacts including coins, pottery and inscriptions of Gupta period. Later in the afternoon, Their Majesties visited Shuzang Memorial Hall and offered prayers. The Memorial Hall is a tribute to the great Chinese traveler called Xu Zheng, a student at Nalanda Mahavihara and subsequently became the teacher of the ancient Nalanda Mahavihara. In the evening, Their Majesties visited Vishwa Shanti Stupa on the hill in Rajgir. It was constructed by Buddha Sangha of Japan. It has a bridle path leading up to the stupa, which takes about 40 minutes. Alternatively, one can also take the aerial chairlift on which Their Majesties took a ride. Their Majesties offered prayers at the stupa. Their Majesties then visited Gritkutta, or what is popularly known as Jagi Phumpuri. Their Majesties offered prayers as the Lam and the monks of Bodh Gaya performed Sherab Nyingpo prayers at the site. Jagi Phumpuri is the place where Lord Buddha preached many inspiring sermons to his disciples. Compiled for Demba Tsering, Diki Chorindoji, BBS News.
His Majesty the King and the Gyaltsen visited an archaeological museum at Sarnath in Varanasi. The museum houses many life-sized images of standing Bodhisattva and the original Ashoka pillar. It also houses a number of Buddhist artifacts as well as images and sculptures of Hindu gods recovered during excavation in the region. Following visit to the museum, Their Majesties visited the standing Buddha statue at the Thai Buddha Vihar. Their Majesties offered prayers at the site and Thai monks recited special prayers for their Majesties. With a height of 80 feet, it is the tallest standing Buddha statue. It was built over 14 years as a result of Indo-Thai joint effort. Yesterday, Their Majesties visited Chukhandi Stupa. The stupa is said to be built originally as a traced temple in 4th to 6th century. The octagonal tower was the tallest stupa at that time in the region. Their Majesties then visited Dharmarajika Stupa. At the site, Bhutanese students studying in universities in Varanasi joined Their Majesties for the prayer ceremony. Dharmarajika Stupa contains the bones of Lord Buddha, and Stupa marks the deer park where Buddha gave sermon to his 5 disciples. Following the visit to Stupa, Their Majesties then visited the Mulagandha Kutivihar temple. Upon arrival, Their Majesties were received by monks of Mahabodhi Society. Thousands of locals also waited at the temple's entrance to get a glimpse of Their Majesties. Inside the temple, Their Majesties offered prayers to sacred Buddha relics. Monks recited a special prayer ceremony for the well-being of Their Majesties. Later in the evening, Their Majesties paid a visit to the holy Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree of Sarnath was planted from a branch taken from the Sri Mahabodhi tree of Sri Lanka. Their Majesties are scheduled to arrive back in the country tomorrow. Compiled for Demba Tsering, Sonam Rinchen for BBS News. The 3-day prayer ceremony held for the long life and well-being of His Holiness J. Thizur Tenzin Dendup concluded on Thursday. His Holiness J. Thizur, the 68th J. Khenpo, turned 90th this year. The prayer ceremony led by His Holiness the J. Khenpo was held in Dodena in Thimphu. About 1,000 monks from Shedras, Dratsangs and Gyöndes in Thimphu performed the prayers. The concluding prayer ceremony was also attended by the Prime Minister, other ministers and senior government officials. Over 1,000 people also gathered to receive blessings. The first ever eye bank in the country opened on Thursday. Her Royal Highness Aji Kezang Wangmo Wangchuk inaugurated the National Eye Bank at the Jigme Doji Wangchuk National Referral Hospital in Thimphu. The event was to mark the World Sight Day.
Bhutan chose the theme for the World Sight Day this year as No More Corneal Blindness. Doctors say corneal blindness is one of the leading causes of blindness in Bhutan.
And cornea is a structure that is in the front and it gets damaged very fast due to trauma, infection and all. And lots of patients are living either one eye or both eyes blind with corneal diseases. So once the corneal disease is blind, the only treatment we have is cornea transplant. Therefore, we need eye bank services in order to have the corneas donated and then start surgery so that people benefit from cornea transplant surgeries.
Inaugurating the eye bank, Her Royal Highness Aji Kezang Wangmo Wangchuk pledged for cornea donation. Present during the inaugural was the medical director from Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology of Nepal, Dr. Ruit. Upon the invitation of Her Majesty the Royal Grandmother, Aji Kezang Choteng Wangchuk, Dr. Ruit has been conducting cataract surgeries for many Bhutanese.
The Grand Queen Mother is very dear to me, very inspirational, and I go and work in many other countries, and sometimes she always comes and talks to me in the air. Doctor, sight restoration is so good, so nice, but look after yourself. She always says this. And I think it's her inspiration that I come back again and again into Bhutan.
Every month, the Tilganga Institute of Ophthalmology will donate 2 to 3 corneas for the National Eye Bank. Today, there are a total of more than 250 cornea blindness cases registered with the hospital. Cornea can be donated after the death of the person, and the hospital hopes to see people come forward for the donation. Sharab Sangmo for BBS News.
Over 100 concerned parents and residents of Dogar Geok in Paro met with the school authorities after a 9-year-old girl was allegedly molested a few weeks ago in the school. The meeting was held behind closed doors and media was not allowed to attend the meeting. Parents said they wanted to question the school on why it remained silent on the incident.
Parents and residents of Dogar Geog, full of questions, gathered at a school where a girl student was allegedly molested by the school cook. The meeting lasted for almost 5 hours. We spoke to some of the parents after the meeting.
부수기 밤차님들 남의 쌈에 사게 런치더라. 다 안레 땐디베 된가 저 대교기 지진의 슈베베데 다리 믹셀기 대 좀듯이 소금이게 내던데 아닐레 땐디 이 세드슈니라.
인식해치 찌깁 추룰레 때다 되나로 깬디 아니비 중디 야사노 나길리비 우진다 코나 와딩기 카툴레 때니 상원베디기베디베 님디베 자다노 세슈니라. 때님 나이기 잡레게 때다 미시기 코마스베.
One of the school sokpas, Ugen, says though they represent the community in the school, they were never informed.
ngachatdolu dewa mebabe the tundu mebabe de kestichi mese shunila kesni da sumeti hemal tato ngacha shugore nambi go bare yu the answer khongtule sawa tholebe the kestichi dibere duse shunila.
Meanwhile, the school had no comments. At the moment, the case is being investigated with the accused still under police custody. Ishigatsen, BBS News, Paro.
The hostels at the Paro College of Education currently houses over 400 students, but this is less than half of the total strength of the college, meaning more than 500 students rent private apartments outside the college. And with just 1,500 Nultam as monthly stipend for each student, finding an affordable apartment is not easy, and students are forced to share the apartments.
The Paro College of Education, one of the institutions under the Royal University of Bhutan, has over 1,000 students currently. Most of them are high school graduates, while some are in-service teachers. The college has 5 buildings which houses the boarding students. The hostel rooms can accommodate only around 450 people, and the institution has a policy to firstly offer rooms to the first-year students.
We give the first preference of the rooms to the first-year students because some of them have not even been to Paro before. We ask them to live outside campus. It will be difficult for them.
As a result, majority of the students are compelled to stay outside on rent. And many say finding an affordable apartment with their limited stipend is difficult.
심기 비치든 남삼이 지시 야기 베니미 야기 따니미 델렌디 칼라테기 버신디 남삼이 세
때 칸라디야 센센이라 조돌루 때 알루디슬루 담가라 가지 주비미 때 마쇼 냠충이 말에 된지게 콜라 쩐디기디 남삼이 강일두
같이 미 아니 가 밤눈 중에 알루벤디기 때 침문디스 마토 준비 때 칸라디스 찜모스베 강일루슬래šan도 수니.
Inside the hostel rooms, the situation is similarly not so pleasant. The rooms are small and are shared mostly among 4 roommates. This, they say, is quite troublesome. Meanwhile, the college management say they are aware of the problem. The Dean of Student Affairs says the college is planning to construct additional blocks and is also looking at proposals from private parties who want to construct private hostels for their students.
We might increase the capacity of the hostel by constructing additional hostel, but not really trying to accommodate all the students in the hostel, because we want to encourage the private parties to also, take up business in this line.
Paro College of Education was first established in 1975. Yishigelson, BBS News.
The ongoing road widening work from Simtokha to Dochula frustrates the residents of Simtokha area. Frustrated as the falling boulders damage their water pipes, hence leaving them with no proper water supply for over a month now.
The road widening works from Semtoka to Duchula is in full swing. However, it has compromised the water pipelines, which supplies water to more than 50 households in Semtoka.
One of the pipeline is just below this eroded hill, and as you can see, it's very difficult to go down there. And I've talked with the residents here at Semtoka, and what they said was there's another pipeline just few meters below, and I think we can have a greater look on the intensity of the damage.
40 years old Yangjan is the Tsokpa in the area. She has to walk a few hours every day to fix the broken pipelines, and she has been doing this for more than a month. The community has taken the matter to the road supervisor many times, but nothing has been done so far.
Every day I have to come here like 5 times. I wish they were more careful when they roll down the boulders. We may not have this water problem if they were cautious. We have 50 households here who depend on this pipeline. So whenever there is no water, people directly come and complain it to me, as I am the Tsokpa.
The problem does not end here. It is not just people facing difficulties, but lack of continuous flow of clean drinking water for over a month has left the house owners in the area worried. Tenants are complaining about vacating the apartments.
We have water problem and there is no way to go to fetch water. So we are facing a lot of problems. Even our tenants are complaining.
Before the road widening works, everyone says Semtoka had 24 hours water flow and people rushed to find a rented home. But now with the road widening works, the boulders roll down and damage our pipes. Even my tenants have now decided to relocate elsewhere.
The road widening has reached its critical stage where workers are drilling through hard rocks. The Department of Roads therefore says that nothing can be done about the rolling stones. The executive engineer, however, said that they will help repair the pipes within a week as a temporary measure. Once the works are complete, the Department of Roads will take ownership to bring back the pipes and water supply to normalcy.
We want to buy some new water pipelines so that we can replace it. We will just fix them so that on a day-to-day basis they can use water. We will look into this. We are in the process of purchasing water pipes, SDP pipes, for temporary measure.
People for now are looking forward for the maintenance of the pipes by the officials. Until then, all they can do is hope. Ishingetup, PBS News.
Orange used to be the only source of income for the people of Chungshing and Chakpai villages under Jigmicholing Gyeok in Sarpang. But now they have an alternative source, the bamboo shoot pickle.
People of Chungshing and Chakpai villages depended on oranges for income. Without an alternative source of income, it was not reliable as the yield decreased, sometimes affecting their income. But the villagers now have an alternative source of income. It is the bamboo shoot pickle. It was started last year and the villagers earned more than 20,000 yutam. They are hoping to earn 100,000 yutam this year. The Gyeok Forestry Extension Officer said the project has other benefits as well.
Apart from increasing their income, in the future it will help to address climate change too. Secondly, rural-urban migration is a growing concern. So with this initiative, we hope to prevent the youth from leaving the villages in search of jobs.
Bamboo is available in plenty in the Gyeok and the villagers have also been trained to make the pickle. The villagers said the project is not for a short term and that they will work towards sustaining it.
Nowadays, it is difficult for the children to find jobs, so they work with contractors. If there's opportunities in our village, I don't think we have to go looking for jobs elsewhere.
If it becomes a factory in the future, there will be employment opportunities for our children.
Last time, we made around 150 bottles and earned about 15,000 yultram. This time, we are planning to produce about 100 bottles. So we are expecting 70 to 80,000 yultram.
70 to 80,000 expect
Jungshing Thokpa was established last year with funds from the Rural Livelihood Project as a pilot project. The Thokpa has 20 members and they are hoping to earn about 900,000 Newton from the sale of pickle next year. Compiled for Puba Teshudan, PBS News, Kelefo.